That's helpful. Well, just to kind of real quick before we get started, introduce myself. Ralph.
Yes.
I've only been in Trussville for a year and a half now.
Okay.
So I'm the priest at Holy Cross Episcopal Church, right
Yeah.
on the corner of Parkway and
Mhm.
Highway 11 there, Main Street. And but before going to seminary, I was a forester. I went to Auburn and studied forestry, so that's how I got involved with the tree commission, and also just being right there in the project neighborhood with the church and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Very cool.
yeah,
The
Richard,
only the
tell him
only
about
church
some
in
of
the
the
project.
yeah,
Richard, tell him about some of the things that you've done as a forester, because you've got a wide background of purchasing wood,
yeah.
trimming, planting.
Um, I I mean, in college, I worked for some tree services, doing more what like urban forestry, like tree removals and pruning and stuff like that, which is more related to really what the tree commission is really focused on, more urban forestry, in an urban setting. But Yeah, started off cruising timber, which is kind of a common like entry level job out of college. You kind of beat the bushes for a while, and then I wound up in a role as like more of a forest analyst. So I did a lot of GIS mapping and timber inventory and kind of collecting the inventory for 500,000, 600,000 acres and kind of projecting the growth and yield of that timber into the future and scheduling harvests and thins on kind of the industrial scale. So that's what I did in that
Wow.
in that
Well, you can
career.
see why I'm so excited about having him on the tree commission with us.
I certainly can. I don't know if you know what you've gotten yourself into, Richard.
I'm learning. Well, I'm learning. I had no idea what I was. I just said yes to kind of get involved, just get to know some folks in the community, and I've certainly benefited from that, being involved with the commission, and yeah, I'm learning. But I joke with the. I always pull up Google Maps because they're always like, well, down there on the corner of Rockridge and Magnolia, there's that dogwood, and everybody's sitting there nodding their head, and I'm going, I don't know that dogwood. No. Everybody's just so intimately familiar with the
Yes.
neighborhood, every corner. There's that bad spot in the sidewalk right there when you're walking along there, and I'm going, so just to
Yeah.
kind of, I know Ralph is falls into that category of just knowing every nook and cranny, but I'm not as yeah, quite as
Yeah.
familiar. And I didn't grow up riding my bike around these streets, so
But
Yeah.
we love
Well,
having him because he brings such a different perspective. And sometimes, you can't see the forest for the trees.
there you
So
go.
he brings a different perspective to this thing we're doing. And it's good to have that, because this tree
yeah.
commission, you've never been to one of our meetings, but we're like a team,
Mhm.
and nobody's the coach. I mean, we all input and we do everything collaboratively. I mean, I don't make any decisions without input from all of them. I mean, this isn't my ship. This is our ship. And all I do is organize it. And these guys are just wonderful to work with.
Yeah. Is there five of y'all right now on the
Yeah,
commission? You'll back up to five?
yeah.
Okay. So let's talk Arbor Week. February 16 through 22nd. What all's gonna be involved?
Well, prior to Arbor Week, our big event kicks off Tuesday. If the weather cooperates, we're planning to plant 34 trees. And we planted 34 trees to date. So we will be doubling the number of trees that we put in the ground. And that will be 68, if my math is right, um, after that planting. And we're just really excited about that. We've probably got another 100 to 125 or so before we get the entire neighborhood planted out as to where it originally was. But this tree commission isn't just for the Cahaba project. And the other thing you got to think about is one of the things that the tree commission was saddled with, per the city ordinance, was doing an inventory of the trees and diagnosing those that had issues and those that need to be removed. And we did that last year. That was 32 mature trees we took out of the Cahaba project last year. So we put 64 in, but we took 32 out. But we won't be taking that number of trees out at once ever more. I mean, it may be two or three a year, but you won't see that number coming out again. Right, Richard?
I would hope not. Yeah, it's sort of some beetle or disease that comes out of nowhere, those kind of things. But yeah,
But
Yeah,
we're
well,
really excited about this planning we have coming up. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how we're able to do this planning. And you can't do anything without money. And Mayor Choate and the city council, they created this tree commission and they have supported us. They gave us a budget of $12,000 and we've spent that every year. We asked for more this year. Our fourth year, we felt like we needed a little more money, but they were in a very, as you know, a very difficult budget year that, their sales tax revenue has gone down every year since COVID. And this was a very, very difficult budget for them. And we were lucky and blessed to hold on to our 12,000. So we're using that 12,000 and the Cahaba, I never get this right, so I wrote it down. The Cahaba Heritage Homestead Foundation.
Nope. Flip us. Cahaba Homestead Heritage Foundation.
All right. The CHHF.
There you go.
Representative Danny Garrett was able to get them a $100,000 grant to be spent on improvements within the Cahaba project and education. They're an educational foundation. They're not a neighborhood HOA like some people think they are. They're an educational foundation. And since the money was allocated for improvements in the neighborhood, they've done the gateways and they've repointed the gazebo down there, repointed the concrete and all that. And they were able, we asked for, and they gave us $10,000 of their $100,000 to go with our tree planting money. So that brought us up to $22,000. Well, then Alabama Power has promised us a minimum of $1,500 for Arbor Day support. And Senator Shelnut has promised us $2,000 for Arbor Day support. So we put all these monies together, and now we're up to about, I think it's about 300 2.5 to 3 gallon bucket trees we'll be giving away Arbor Day, as well as about 300 bare root trees. So we're very thankful for the people who have supported us. We couldn't do it with just the city support. We really couldn't. And Representative Garrett is in Montgomery this week, and he's looking for us additional funds, big money funds to do that additional plan out. We got to get trees in the ground. These 85-year-old trees are coming to the end of their life cycle, and bless their soul, we got to get some trees underneath them to come up behind them. And if you look at the trees that Alabama Power planted 25 years ago along Rock Ridge, the maples, they're just this big in 25 years. So we're planting trees that are about this big. So and they're about 15 feet tall, the ones we're planting. And so we got to get trees in the ground. We don't have 5 or 10 years to wait to get trees in the ground. We need to get trees in the ground as soon as we can to get them coming up to replace these older trees.
Yeah. Let me clean up a little, no pun intended. Let me clean up a little dead wood here. The Tuesday that y'all are planting 34 trees, what day is Tuesday, February the
21st, 22nd, 23rd.
Okay.
But the weather may be in
January 21st, 22nd, 23rd.
Oh, January.
Okay. Next week.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not snow on the ground. Unless it gets too cold, we'll be planting them. And that reminds me of another big partner that I've really been impressed with that we work with that is Ace Tree Service. And they'll donate a tree for us to plant with the Girl Scouts, right, Ralph, that always do
for Arbor Day celebration tree. They always donate that tree and then do a planting demonstration to teach the Girl Scouts how to plant a tree. Yeah. So we'll be doing that on February 22nd. When we do our Arbor Day celebration at the gazebo, not the gazebo, the pavilion on the mall next to the pickleball courts. We'll be giving away those bucket trees and those bare root trees. We will have arborists there. We will have forestry there. Alabama Power will be there. Ace Tree will be there. They will be there to answer questions you might have to ask an arborist about a tree. We'll have foresters like Richard from Alabama Power that will be there to answer questions about trees. We're going to be doing tree walks. This is our first year to do tree walks, and we actually have got to lay those out. We haven't done that yet, but we got a few days. But we're going to actually do tree walks with arborist or forester will be leading you, maybe on a tree walk of the Cahaba. You're familiar with the trail that the Friends of the Pinch Gut setup. In fact, Danny Garrett was the one that got the funds to do that. And those big trees down there are already marked, but we may be doing tree walks around that path to educate people about the type of trees that are capable of growing and doing well in our neighborhood. Most people just think of a pine tree and a maple tree, and very few people know of trees like this one in the picture behind me, and some, sycamores and some of the other trees that we have. But we have a lot of trees growing in the city of Trussville, a lot of different varieties.
Yeah. So Arbor Week, I'm looking over here at what Jenna Jones sent me and kind of typed up and put on our Cahaba Homestead Heritage Foundation website. So February 16th through 22nd. So for the duration of the week, Hewitt-Trussville Middle School's tree art will be displayed at the Trussville Public Library again.
That's very important.
It's very cool too. And then, like you said, the culmination. So Saturday, February 22nd, it's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., correct?
Unless we still have trees, and we'll
You'll
stay
stay a little
to 2 or
longer?
3 if people are still coming by. Usually when we get there around 7 or 8 to set up, there's already 15 or 20 people waiting on us. So, we want to always give away all the trees we got. Last year we had a few bare roots left over, and Leeds had their giveaway the next day, and we carried them over to Leeds and let them give them away. So we'll get the trees in somebody's hands somewhere to put in the ground.
Yeah. And you said, okay, how many 3-gallon trees and how many bare root trees this year?
I think it's either 250 probably of buckets and probably 300 of bare root. We may get as many as 300 bucket. It just depends on the price.
So 500 to 600 trees to be given away for free.
And that's what we normally do. If you look at the articles from last year, that's 500 to 600 is about what we do.
Why is that? Why do you think there's such a run on them here? Like why do people find it important? They just, is it as simple as, I get a free tree, or do you think people are seeing some importance?
No, I don't think people come out on Saturday morning early just to get a tree. They're thinking they have got a purpose for that tree. And these are yard trees that we're giving away. They're designed to go in people's yards. I forget all the different ones we had last year, but I think we had about 8 or 10 different kinds of trees. Do you remember what we had, Richard? I don't.
No, some of them were pretty unique though. I was kind of surprised at some of the species. I was like, wow, that's not something you see, in Home Depot all the time. It was a nice, and most of them were native, if I remember correctly. But on that note, a lot of people had a very specific spot in mind. They'll ask you, I've got this spot next to my house, but it's kind of shady. What might work there? So that's where a lot of the tree commission folks, I believe the Forestry Commission had somebody out there last year, and the folks at ACE. I can try to help with that. I'm not as much of a horticultural kind of landscaping tree guy, but in general, what's shade tolerant, what'll do well in the sun, how big is it going to get? A lot of those considerations, because people will have a specific spot in mind that they're looking to fill in their. And
Richard brings up a good point there that I should have mentioned is all of our bare root trees we get free from Alabama Forestry. So they will be there on site to consult, and they're bringing trees. So they're a very big part of our tree giveaway.
It's always fun to see.
Talk to them about, people seem kind of hesitant on the bare root. Talk to them a little bit about why bare root is not a bad thing to use.
Well, it is. I was just getting ready to say it's kind of funny because the bare roots, it just looks like a twig. There's not much to it. It's literally just a single shoot, maybe this long of a live tree, but it just has buds on it. There's no leaves or anything. And then there's a little root ball. But people look at it and they kind of go like, this is going to turn into something. It kind of, a big potted tree. A lot of those have, leaves still hanging on them, or they're just, a little more robust. But those bare root trees, like I said, they're donated from the commission. And that's what I'm used to seeing planted in a hardwood timber stand. Would be bare.
Now we won't be giving away pine trees. These are all oaks, hickories. I'm hoping to get some sassafras, and I'm hoping to get some sycamores and cherry trees. I've got a bare root cherry that I planted 3 years ago, bare root, and that thing's 25, 30 feet tall now. It is taken off.
Wow.
It's not real big around, but it's 25 feet tall.
That's crazy.
It's all
Yeah,
about where you put them.
yeah. Richard, you mentioned people like kind of looking at kind of the bare root and having that kind of like, I know you're newer to Trussville, but maybe you'll appreciate this given the proximity to Holy Cross as well. Have you heard the holly tree story about in the cemetery that's down from y'all, the Trussville Cemetery?
I don't think I have.
All right, I've got to tell it, Ralph. I know you've heard it, but I've got to tell it. So, and I'm going to try to do this off memory, which is dangerous. So someone on my fellow Trussville historical board member will get after me for any fact I get wrong here, but sometime in the 1800s, so this guy, I think these stories are connected. This guy died. I still would like to investigate this because supposedly he was working in a well and a crowbar fell into the well and killed him. How a crowbar just magically falls into a well and kills a guy, I don't know. I think there's something nefarious there, personally. However, they bury him in the Trussville cemetery, and the wife comes to visit from like the Chalkville or Springville area. I forget which one. Like sometime in, I think it was like maybe they said October or sometime in the winter. So she's riding her horse all the way from Chalkville or Springville to Trussville, and she gets a holly shoot to keep the horse going. She gets to his grave, sticks the shoot in the ground while she, grieves or does her thing, right? She comes back 3-4 months later. That holly shoot has taken root and is growing, and eventually grew into a large holly tree that was cut down 2020, 2021. The thing, if you looked at it, it was not a pretty tree, and it needed to come down, but people didn't know that story before it was cut down. So like that family, they're the Carlisle family is the name of the fella who had the crowbar fall on his head. They noticed it at one of the what's the farmers market, market that's held right behind your church. And they would come to the farmers market and they could see that tree from there. And then one day they were like, where'd that tree go? And so it kind of reignited that story and brought it back into the public consciousness. Wow. So we've got, I don't know where Jane Alexander, who's on our historical board, I can't remember if she went and found another piece of a holly, but we've got that little spot kind of protected, and we've got a little bit of growth happening in it. And so we're hoping that something will grow over time, will grow back right there.
So is it growing back from the original stump, or?
I can't remember. There was something there, but I mean, I think this is maybe something new, because when the city or whatever tree service took it down, all of that was ground up and mulched up and all that. So I don't think there was a whole lot left.
Gotcha.
But I just thought it was an interesting local legend story for you there.
Yeah. Tree story. I like that.
Speaking of getting stuff going, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about what you need to do if you need a replacement tree on city right of way in your front yard.
Yep.
And basically, it's like everything else with government. You got to fill out a form. It's on the city website under government, I believe, and you'll see tree commission. And then under tree commission, you'll see request a replacement tree or something like that. It's not a form you can fill out online. You'll have to print it off and fill it out and either carry it down to the city hall to the mayor's office or mail it to the city hall to the mayor's office. And then they'll get those to us and we'll put you in line. This year, we were actually able, with a couple of trees left over that we put on city right of way on Parkway, we were able to fulfill every single request we had. And some people got 2 trees. If all the trees were gone, and there originally were 2 trees on most lots, unless you were a corner lot and there were like 4 on one side and 2 on the other. So, and we're replacing some of those on Rock Ridge where there was 4 on one side and 2 on the other. So you're going to see us planting out Rock Ridge. We're going to have Rock Ridge really well planted this year with few more to go, maybe 8 or 10 more to go. But you fill out that form and turn it in. We'll put you on the list, and it's first come, first serve. And if you're missing both of your trees, put down you want 2 trees. And obviously, everybody gets 1 before anybody gets 2. But we will certainly put you on the list, and as we're already taking requests for next year.
Wow. Richard, I wanted to ask you, being having this experience that you've had, why is it important, for a city to ensure that trees are replanted? What are the benefits of having enough trees in your city as more and more buildings go up and stuff like that? What role do trees play in a municipality?
It's funny. I was just kind of thinking about that when Ralph was mentioning that, each lot had 2 trees in front of it. And, so in the 30s, that's when the project was built, right? The project neighborhood was developed in the
36, 38.
Back then, they knew that it was important to plant trees. I mean, they planted them along through the whole neighborhood. So I think that, there's all kinds of research that you can find around, I would have professors that would do things around like the cost of heating and cooling your home if you have shade and trees around. And there's all these kind of trying to quantify that. But I really just think it kind of speaks for itself. If you go to a neighborhood and there's big trees lining the roads, I mean, it's an aesthetic thing. It looks good. It's shady. It's pretty. It's nice. I just think it's kind of from a city planning perspective, it's an asset that I think can really easily be overlooked. And I think sometimes it's easier. In some ways, it's easier to cut a tree down than it is to plant one. I mean, physically, it's a lot more work to cut a tree down, but to have the forethought and to think about it in advance and to plant a tree that you might not ever see grow into what it will be one day, that takes a certain amount of investment and forethought that if you're not really intentional about it and you're not thinking about it, it's easy to, in 50 years, there's no trees in the project neighborhood left anymore. That's the way it'll go if you're not actively working to replace those trees as they get older and have to be brought down. And it's interesting. I think we met out at the high school. And when we first moved to Trussville, we had some friends that kind of showed us around, and they took us through the high school parking lot. And immediately, me and my wife were both like, "Wow, this is cool. It's just tucked back here in the woods. There's trees everywhere." And it's that's kind of an intangible thing, I think, at the end of the day. But we try to quantify it. They're pretty. They're nice.
Yeah.
If you ever will notice on Parkway in the summer, which side of Parkway do the walkers walk on? And it's
the shaded side
where the trees are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And one of the things that people forget about trees is they dampen sound. I mean, I can tell the difference at my house on Rock Ridge from when the park across from me, prior to a little tornado went through there years ago, and the city hauled timber out there for 3 weeks, pine trees. I couldn't even see Chalkville Road prior to that little tornado coming through there. But I can hear everything on Chalkville Road now. Used to, I couldn't see it or hear it. Trees do dampen the sound of urban, the cars, the motorcycles, all that.
And so cleaner air.
I mean, life thing.
There's so many benefits that trees provide. Cleaner air, dampening sound from interstate traffic. I mean, if we could get a few more between me and the train here in Trussville, that'd be nice because that comes through loud and clear. But I mean, there's so many benefits. Shade, clean air, and I think is just making it a priority, recognizing that, because we had this conversation at the high school. Oftentimes, the only time you really think about your trees is when a limb falls and your power goes out or it blocks your driveway, and it's like, oh, this is, and it's a problem you have to fix. But we kind of take them for granted when they're healthy and doing all the things. When we're reaping the benefits from them, we take it for granted, and then you only call Ace Tree Service when one falls down. causes a problem. So, yeah, I think it takes a special kind of deliberate attitude to appreciate the value of trees.
We haven't said a whole lot about it, but last year the city paid Ace Tree Service to do a inventory of all the trees and to document their health. And that's how we came up with the 23 trees that had to be removed. But all those trees, all the city trees on the right of way, 12 foot off the curb belongs to the city. All the trees within 12 foot of the curb belong to the city. And that's the tree commission's purpose, is to protect those trees and perpetuate those trees. Well, they're all in a database now. Every single tree is plotted and is recorded, its height, its width, its health, whether it needs to be deadwood, whether it needs to be removed, whether it needs
What
to be
species?
replaced.
Yeah.
That is huge, isn't it, Richard, to have an inventory like that?
Yeah, just having kind of a snapshot of where we are right now, and that relates a lot more with my work in the forest industry. In my previous life, yeah, inventorying the trees, knowing species, how big they are, yeah, if they need any attention, if they need to be removed, because that's kind of your starting point, and then you work from there. And I've explained to the folks on the commission, they'll say, well, remember, down this road on the right side, there was all those trees. Well, I'm new to town, so I don't remember that. But now with that inventory, even as generations come and new people move to Trussville, there's a starting point to work from.
Yeah.
So the city is really laying the foundation for good tree management, not just in the Cahaba Project neighborhood, but throughout the city. The tree commissions for all the city, all the protected trees. That means all the trees in the park, all the trees on city land, all the trees on city right of way. Our jurisdiction is over all the city trees. So we're out to make sure that we have a healthy tree population, and that if we have diseases or insects that need to be addressed, we're out here to take care of that. It's a huge process and responsibility. To say that I underestimated how much time this was going to take would be an understatement.
I believe you.
It is unbelievable. Of course, I know we're still in the infancy state, and some of this, as we get down the road, having the inventory, removing the dead trees and planting like we are, that things will smooth off. But boy, I've done nothing but I've put 6 to 8 hours a day every day this week into tree commission stuff.
Wow.
So
Man,
right now it's taking up a lot of time.
you're back working.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be retired.
Ralph, remind me, we applied for a designation, the city of Trussville. Was that the Arbor Foundation, or was it Tree City
That was
USA?
the Tree City USA.
Tree City
Isn't
USA.
that right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
And this is our third year that we've had that designation, Richard. That's right.
Let's see. Yeah, I got a picture of you toting the sign out of City Hall, Ralph.
Oh, good.
I'll show it right here in the podcast.
Okay. I'd forgotten about that.
Cherie sends me all pictures now.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So what do y'all look forward to the most during that week? Is it the education? Is it the giving them away? What is it?
I think the education is just as important as the giving away of trees. And Cherie and Jenna and Alabama Forestry just do a wonderful job of working with the children and people that come to the tree giveaway. And we get posters from forestry to give to the kids. We got some comic books to give away to the kids. We've got a lot of little stuff like that. And really, if we can educate the children, I know this may sound backwards, but if we can educate the children about the value of trees and how to plant a tree, which is what we'll do when ACE does that tree planting demo, they'll take you through it step by step, how to plant a tree. The children will educate the parents. Yeah. I get parents calling me saying, my child said that you told her at Arbor Day that we needed to do this to our tree. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's right. So the children are really the future. The children are the future of the city. And if we can get them to value the trees, that is probably more important than their parents valuing the trees, because they're the ones that are coming behind us.
That's right. That's right.
And,
How about
and
for you, Richard?
Yeah, so last year was my first Arbor Day, and I joined the commission just right before Arbor Day, if I remember correctly, because I missed the
that's
tree
right.
plantings last year, but I did show up for Arbor Day, and I had no idea what to expect, and I was kind of blown away. I went to the mall there across from Cahaba Elementary, and yeah, just so many trees and so many people turning out, and yeah, I was really wasn't expecting all that, to be honest. Yeah, I had a lot of just great conversations. I really just enjoyed just meeting a lot of folks and just being able to talk about,
Yeah.
their interest and why they might want a certain type of tree, or they, well, this one here doesn't drop its leaves. Maybe that I think there were some bay trees that are evergreens that they had, and yeah, just kind of meeting people and just realizing that this is something that can really bring folks together, kind of form some community around. So yeah, the educational aspect, and I mean, even just seeing somebody from the Forestry Commission there with their, their uniform on. It was just, a good time to kind of get together, yeah, and share some education, and yeah, that was
Mayor
my.
Choate came last year, and Cherie, one of our commission members, hooked him up with a bunch of posters from forestry of everything from birds to snakes to tree identification to uh, poison plant identification. We got all this handout, and the mayor told us that he took them home and that he's been handing them out at birthdays and stuff, but he didn't give them all to his grandkids at once. He's been partialing them out, but uh, but it's a great education day, and going back to what Richard said about if we don't plant trees 50 years from now, there won't be any trees in the Cava project. One of my favorite stories is talking about the Cahaba project, and that the Cahaba project is the hub of the city of Trussville. If you think about it, everything within the city of Trussville is a spoke off the hub. The hub's the Cahaba project. Every single park in this city is either in or attached to the Cahaba project. So as the project goes the city. And if we don't take care of the Cahaba project, then the whole city will be pulled down by it. So that's why it's so one of the reasons to me in my heart that it's so important to get these trees back up is to protect the integrity of the historic Cahaba project, because the city reputation, when people come to Trussville and I talk to people and they're like, man, those tree lined streets y'all got are just beautiful.
Mhm.
And I've seen people in the fall set tripods up in the middle of Rock Ridge taking pictures of Rock Ridge and people from out of state. So our reputation is our trees, actually, when you talk to people that come here, drive through the neighborhood, drive through the city. They don't talk about the neighborhoods that don't have any trees. They talk about the Cahaba project.
Yep, no doubt about it. Anything else y'all want to add? I think we've pretty well covered it. Did I miss anything?
Trying to think, Ralph, anything else?
I just have to, again, thank all the people who have contributed to our success. Senator Shelnut, Representative Garrett, the Cahaba Foundation, and the city of Trussville with the budget they give us. I mean, there's not every city that does for their tree commission what our city does. And our Arbor Day is, the forestry tells us our Arbor Day is one of the best Arbor Day celebrations in their area out here. So, and we've only been doing this 4 years.
Yeah.
So we're just going to get better, bigger and better.
There you go. Well, let's end it right there, fellas. That sounds good.
Thanks, Gary.
Hopefully I can come out there for some of this. I'll see if it works out on the schedule, and I know it'll be a big success again.
Bring your
I'm actually gonna miss it this year. We've got a big church-wide thing in Birmingham, a big fundraiser going on that Saturday. So hope to make some of the tree plantings and some of the other stuff next week. Yep.
We've really
Sounds
enjoyed
good.
having Richard part of our group. He has been a really good new asset.
That's awesome.
Y'all do all the heavy lifting. I just kind of show up, but it's been really awesome. I've met so many people. We spent a day out at the high school, and I met the superintendent, and there's another guy from the school system,
School
I guess,
system.
out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
We're
been
doing
fun.
a big project with the school board on tree management out at the high school right now, and that's what Richard's talking about. We were
Okay.
out there meeting with them, so we're going to save them a ton of money by providing the expertise that they're not going to have to go out and hire some type of consultant to tell them what we're going to be able to help them with.
That's fantastic.
We're proud to do that. We're team players.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I get it. I mean, that's kind of why you're appointed, right? Like you're, I understand it from the historical perspective, you're there to kind of provide some insight, provide a service to the city that you call home. So I get it.
Absolutely.
And hats off to the mayor and city council for putting us in the position to do this.
Yeah. No, it's important that got reinvigorated and that y'all have hit the ground running for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much, Gary.
Yeah, no, thank y'all. I appreciate y'all and looking forward to a great Arbor week.
We are too.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
All right. Y'all too. See y'all
Take
later.
care. All right.
Bye.
Good day.